Well, down south they're stirring up a shiny new mess, spilling verbal diarrhea, putting diplomacy to the test. Yeah, they're poking at DC, trying to make the eagle mad, acting like the playground bully is the best friend they ever had.
Then Ronald Lamola steps up, adjusting his tie, says, "We don't need the USA, we'll let the Donald fly on by." He says we'll go our own way, we don't need a stamp of grace, while he's slamming every door right in his own face.
Oh, the ANC is foot and mouth troubles, talking loud and proud while the misery doubles, thinking they're heavyweight, throwing punches in the dark, but they're biting off a whole lot more than they can bark. Yeah, the times are getting tough and the road is getting rough, 'cause the ANC has foot and mouth troubles.
He thinks the world is with him, living in a hazy dream, but nobody's carrying water for a failing scheme. Marco Rubio stood up and he turned on the light, exposed the race-baiting efforts and the fuss and the fight.
You can't sway the big players with a cheap magic trick. When the global scene is moving, yeah, it moves pretty quick. You delude yourself thinking that you hold all the cards. Now you're standing all alone in your own backyard. Oh, the ANC is foot and mouth troubles, talking loud and proud while the misery doubles, thinking they're a heavyweight, throwing punches in the dark, but they're biting off a whole lot more than they can bark. Yeah, the times are getting tough and the road is getting rough, 'cause the ANC has foot and mouth trouble.
It's embarrassing for Cyril, yeah, it stings a little bit.
He went down to the G20 looking for a place to sit.
The nameplate was changed, yeah, the story is cold. He's been replaced by Poland, or so we are told.
And there ain't no use in trying to take the insults back.
No moss, no joy at Luthuli House tonight.
No sway on the stage and not a friend inside.
Just foot and mouth troubles. Bless their hearts.
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the program. It's Chris, live in central Pennsylvania for Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. We'll talk about the Artemis launch today. We'll also talk about President Trump, Chancellor Merritt's, South Africa, and many other things on the program as we get into the news today. I caution you once again, please do not have the discourtesy to interrupt this program with your refugee-related questions or your non sequiturs. If you do so, my moderators will put you in a timeout. If you don't learn from that lesson, then you get blocked from the channel, if that's what you want. All right. The self-obsession, the selfish behavior of people in the chat is getting a bit annoying for many of my viewers, and we're not going to put up with it. I hope you like my damn hat. I also have a damn shirt. I do have an Artemis t-shirt and an Artemis cap. I bought them 3 years ago when I was in Florida in anticipation of this launch. And I don't know where I put them. I'll have to look for them after this. I just got back from Vegas last night, or yesterday morning, excuse me, and I don't know where the heck they are, so I'm going to have to look for them, but I do have them. April Fool's today. No, April Fool's was yesterday. So I hope you, did anybody see the April Fool's? I don't even know if anybody watched that thing. A couple people said they did. Yesterday I had an April Fool's video up. Let me see the short. Where's it at? Yeah, 14,000 people actually watched it. That's good. 15,000. I got 16 dislikes. It just shows you the people who are busy, pulling their pud. There's about 20 of them that watch the program, busy pulling their pud. They have no lives. They just want to date. They just want to date. By the way, last night on the radio program, when Billy and John's trolls showed up in my stream, they started watching my YouTube channel. It took us up about 49 people during the live last night, which is a bit high. I was surprised. Come on, why is this hat not going straight? There we go. When they did that, they just kept going on with their stupidity, and I just point out the obvious, that they're obviously all gay and want to date us. They disappeared. Yeah, anyway, right. The tulips are dead. They died overnight. They're sad. I didn't want you to see the end of life there. The tulips don't last long. They last 2 weeks max. These lasted 3 weeks. Pretty impressive. The tulips outside weren't blooming yet. I have to take a look and see if they're done. Tulips are done, and the crabs are running. Next weekend, I'll be eating steamed crabs again. Yes! Yes, Arc Precision Solutions. I have made pets of them, of those trolls. Anyway, so the tulips are done. They were fun while they were here. All right. Now it's time for me to go out and plant my raspberries with my hip. Let's see how that goes. And then it'll be time to cut the grass. Some clowns overeager are already cutting the grass, even though it's not ready to cut. And I also need to, well, Heidi, tulips don't last forever. Sorry about that. Yep, steamed crabs are coming next weekend. They're running, and so I'll get my first crabs of the season next weekend. And yeah, I'll also get those raspberries planted. Oh, you like the teddies? Well, there is a Los Angeles Raiders Hello Kitty back there, and Winnie the Pooh and Tigger too. This is the 100th anniversary of Milne's book on Winnie the Pooh, so the century that Winnie the Pooh's been around. Also, you'll notice the Bugger Off Bunny has a new friend. There you go. So let's get to the news, and then we can chat about whatever we want to chat about when we're finished with the news. But there's a really funny video. I can't really play this, but I'll give you a link to it. So it's Open the Straight. It's an AI, one of these AI channels, and they do a pretty good job. And they got Hegseth in there, and they've got Trump in there. Pretty good AI, although Trump looks a bit younger than he is. But I'll just play a couple seconds of it here. It's a reggae beat. Now that's Trump. So let me show you what they got Trump looking like in front of the White House. So this is pretty funny. I'll give you the link to it. But I wish if I'd be willing to pay the $500 a month for Gemini, I could do the same thing, but I don't have that kind of money. So there's Trump, all dressed up in his regalia in front of the White House. This is pretty funny. So I'll play a second or two of this without getting a strike. Whoa, there we go. The Trumpster. Anyway, I'm sure some people would like the link to that video, so I will provide that to you now. There you go. So there's a link to that video if you want to go watch that after the show. Not now, not now. Don't be running off. Look at the numbers plummet as everybody goes off to watch. All the men go off to watch that video. No, no, no. The ladies will stay here, though. That's pretty funny. Yeah, well, I have cool songs, too, but I don't have the animation to go along with them. Someone that promised me I'd have access to animation didn't come through. In fact, that person is ghosting me. Let me take a look and see. I haven't heard from that person in weeks. What's going on? I hope they're okay. Yeah, last time I heard from that person was February 23rd, over a month ago, and promised to get something done for me, and it never happened, and I haven't heard from that person. Wow, that's very disappointing. Wow. Hopefully nothing's happened, because very reliable person normally, but now they're not being very reliable. I have no idea what's going on there, so hopefully it's just a blip, 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 a blip. Late, but in the house. That's okay, Veroshka. You just missed the music. That's all. We played some Giselle. I'll have to delete that at the beginning of this. South Africa. Yes, my mooiste land. South Africa. Yeah, anyway, there you go. Let's get on to it, folks. Let's get to the news. I know people are here for the news, and so let's do it. Well, first off, the Artemis II launch was spectacular. Absolutely stunning. The space launch system, a disposable rocket booster to get them into space. Artemis is in space, headed to the moon now. All right, folks. Yeah, we're going to have to get NASA to learn a few things from SpaceX because their coverage blows. First off, we don't need to see all women. How about some diversity there? You all scream diversity, but nothing but women. It was the all-ladies crowd once again for NASA. But then SpaceX does the same thing. They're all politically correct. But the Artemis launch was incredible, absolutely incredible. Spectacular is an understatement for it. Here's some photographs of it lifting off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. NASA's moon rocket Artemis II launched on Wednesday evening, carrying astronauts to the moon for the first time in almost 54 years. The launch marks the first time since Apollo 17 in December 72 that humans will leave lower Earth orbit. The rocket is orbiting Earth and will continue to do so until Thursday, when the translunar injection burn will take place and send it on the rest of its 386,242 kilometer journey to orbit the moon. You think you have a lot of freaking flyer miles. There it is on the launch pad, with the Orion space capsule at the top. There's a Canadian astronaut, David St. Jacques. Why are we seeing the Canadian? This is an American mission. Here's journalists preparing cameras before the launch. And children wearing their Artemis-themed gear. That's what my hat looks like. I don't think it's two. I think it says Artemis on it. But I have Artemis t-shirt and I have a cap I bought from 3 years ago. Spectators on the bridge. Now there's a crowd. There you go. And there is the Space Launch System rocket, SLS, that carried the Orion spacecraft from Launch Pad 39 Bravo at the Kennedy Space Center. Here is the crew. Pilot Victor Glover on the left. What? The black guy's the pilot? I thought this was a systemically racist country. Who let that happen? Somebody get on top of that right away. You're letting a black guy be the pilot? Commander Reed Wiseman, Mission Specialist Jeremy Hansen, and Christina Koch. A woman in space! Who let this happen? Notice the Freedom 250 sign on the gantry there? Pretty cool. Spectators awaiting the launch. And this is Mission Specialist Christina Koch having a good laugh before she got on the Artemis rocket. Not sure what she was laughing at. Here's the crew waving to the audience. The Canadian, the black pilot, the mission commander, and a woman. Who let this happen? Whoa, black people like space? Well, that's not what I was told. I told it was America's systemically racist. There are no black people who are into science, technology. What's going on here? This is just not making any sense. A space enthusiast. Around the moon and back home again. There's Reed Wiseman giving a thumbs up on a remote camera next to Canadian Space Agency's astronaut Jeremy Hansen before they enter the Orion crew capsule. Just under 20 minutes before launch, there's the big countdown clock right there. And there is liftoff. Artemis II lifts off from Pad 39 Bravo at the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral. Here's NASA fans watching the moment, enjoying it. Still a big deal. Look at that thing. Go, go, go. The lunar mission lifting off. All right, folks, that's pretty cool. That's the launch yesterday. By all accounts, the mission is going according to plan thus far. And so it's a 10-day mission. They'll splash back down 9 days from now. In a thunderous launch, ladies and gentlemen, Artemis II left Earth. First time in more than 5 decades, they're headed to the moon. They're not going to land there. They're just going to fly around it. 10-day mission will not only test the spacecraft's life support systems maneuverability, but conduct critical science ahead of future space missions. Now, the graphic there is no good. That doesn't help. Actually, I apologize. I had put this graphic together, but I didn't get it posted in time. So let me get it up now. I'll post it while we're doing this, since we're talking about Artemis now. There's a difference between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2. Artemis was a proof of concept for the rocket. It worked, the SLS worked, and then Artemis 2 is the crew mission. And then the next one, there we go. That's why I need to make that larger. There we go. Okay, that's what you need to see. So this is the graphic for the mission, Artemis 2 mission. So you can see that the aircraft will take off from 39 Bravo. They jettison the rocket boosters, fairings, and launch abort system. That's number 2 as they take off. Number 3 was the core stage, main engine cutoff MECO. We covered all that yesterday live in the perigee raise maneuver, number 4. Then we didn't do the apogee raise burn to high Earth orbit. We missed that because that took place hours later. Then a demonstration. Then the cryogenic propulsion stage is number 7 as they go out into space. High Earth orbit, translunar injection, that would be number 9. And that's back here on the left-hand side of the graphic. You can see that the translunar injection when they take off to go to the moon. Outbound transit to the moon, number 10. And number 11 is the lunar flyby. 4,000 nautical miles on the far side. Only 4,000 miles above the moon. What a journey indeed. Then they'll turn around and come back. And the crew module will separate from the service module, leaving junk in space, number 13. Guess it'll burn up on reentry. And then reentry into Earth's atmosphere, splashdown, the ship will be recovered and the capsule. There you go. Capsule recovered. That is the Artemis mission, folks. That is the Artemis mission. Pretty cool. The little image in the bottom right-hand corner there you can see is actually the different stages and how much of the ship is on the left and how much is left when it finally lands. Is that one little piece, the capsule, the Orion capsule. And that is the Artemis mission. Pretty exciting stuff there. I hope you like that graphic. Let me share that with you. All right. If they do land on the moon for the first time, they're not landing on the moon. I already said that. You're being sarcastic. And they will land on the moon. It won't be the first time. It'll be like the 5th time we've been on the moon. That will occur next year, the 2027, when we send the next mission up. Yeah. So during President Trump's term, the United States will commemorate its 250th anniversary of the best nation in the world. We will host the FIFA World Cup. We will host the Olympics. And we will also put people on the moon, all during Trump's administration. Talk about an epic term in office. Not to mention we're balancing the trade, where countries have been ripping us off for decades with no tariffs coming in here and imposing punitive tariffs on us. That's being sorted out. Destroying the Iranian nuclear threat. What an epic presidency. All right, let's go on with this story about the Artemis mission, and then we'll get on to the news with South Africa and go from there. So, continue on our story here. The Artemis flight update. This was less than an hour ago. Perigee raise burn was complete. So the perigee raise burn, it's a few hours ago now, is complete. It marked another planned orbital adjustment in the early hours of the Artemis II mission. After a brief rest period, the crew was awakened to monitor the Orion spacecraft's systems through the burn. The ground team awoke at 7:06 this morning with the song Sleepyhead by Young and Sick. The spacecraft ignited its service module's main engine for 43 seconds, raising the lowest point of its orbit and redefining the trajectory as it continues to circle Earth. This critical burn placed Orion, named Integrity by the Artemis II crew, into a stable, high Earth orbit that aligns with its path to the moon. The crew members will now move back to their rest period for another 4.5 hours before they are awakened again for their first full day in space. So they should be awakened up right about now for their first full day in space. Well, during the translunar ejection burn, Orion will ignite its engines for just over 6 minutes, accelerating the spacecraft to escape Earth's gravitational pull. Flight controllers will closely monitor engine performance, guidance, and navigation data throughout the maneuver to ensure that Orion remains precisely aligned for the outbound journey. Well, they're outward bound. There you go. South Africa's farmers are suffering a consequence of the government's illicit, stupid foreign policy and the spike in energy prices. South African farmers grapple with rising diesel costs as the harvest season approaches. Lichtenberg. Derek Matthews watches as an old fuel pump fills a tractor with diesel on his 1,700-hectare arable farm in South Africa's northwest province. He frets over a nagging concern how to secure and afford more fuel supplies before harvesting starts. He should probably be more worried about who's going to come to kill him in the dark of night. It's terribly expensive to buy fuel at the moment, but the question I need to answer right now is, can I get fuel? The 64-year-old says. Farmers in South Africa and many other countries are struggling with double price blow. Fuel and fertilizer costs have shot up as the war in Iran stifles key energy transit routes like the Strait of Hormuz. And indeed, South African farmers are being buffeted by issues coming from both sides. On top of this, South Africa's white agriculture minister, you know him, John Steenhuisen. You've probably heard of John. Yes, Middle East conflict leaves 167 South African stone fruit containers stuck at sea where they'll rot. Approximately 167 containers of South African stone fruit are currently stranded at sea after escalating conflict in the Middle East has forced commercial vessels to abandon traditional shipping routes, putting millions of dollars in export revenue at risk. The disruption stems from the heightened insecurity in the key maritime corridors. The Chinese news reports that vessels originally headed for Gulf ports were blocked when the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed. While accounting for 1% of global stone fruit production, South Africa is a top exporter of citrus, apples, pears, grapes, and plums, with roughly half its agriculture output being shipped abroad, generating billions in revenue annually. Not anymore. Key markets include Europe, the Middle East, and Asia, and the Middle East accounting for a significant share of horticultural exports. However, that market is saturated, and now it's getting nothing. Stone fruit, of course, has a very limited shelf life, and prolonged journeys and even under refrigerated conditions can reduce quality, lower market value, or render them unsellable. Industry players say the impact is already being felt. The quality of the fruit when it left the pack house was absolutely 100% perfect, but fruit obviously has a time frame, says Terry Gale, chairman of Exporters Western Cape. The backlog of 167 containers highlights the scale of disruptions facing South Africa's fruit industry. Costs are rising sharply. Freight rates have nearly doubled from $4,000 to $8,000 per container. Wow, the Middle East, a key destination for South African produce, accounts for a significant share of its roughly $1.3 billion of exports to the region. Ladies and gentlemen, where is your white agriculture minister? Is he busy putting his foot in his mouth? Or is he actually looking at this issue, which is a consequence, in no small measure, of the drying up markets from the United States? And of course, Wan Li has told people as a agricultural analyst that they should increase their exports and diversify. No kidding. No kidding. Should have been done years ago. Exporters must find new markets amid the Middle East crisis, says Wandile Shilobo. Well, thank you for the news that's only a decade late, Wandile. 4 weeks since the war in the Middle East broke out, it remains unclear how long the conflict will continue. About another week, Wandile. How bad the damaged infrastructure will be? Well, that depends on how many non-combatant countries that the Iranians terrorize with their missiles, and how long it will take to repairs in affected countries. With each day the war drags on, the negative shock the world economy grows. For exporting businesses is a risk that we have to take seriously and start planning for. We are approaching the citrus export season in South Africa. The challenge for the current year is not only ample domestic supplies, but a recovery in Brazilian output, which will intensify competition against South African products. Yes, and he's saying we should diversify. Well, thank you for that useful news. That would have been helpful 10 years ago to pursue. You don't develop markets overnight. You don't develop suppliers and middlemen overnight. You don't develop refrigeration units overnight. You develop these markets long term, and you become a reliable provider, which you're not, and that's the problem. And so South Africa is in deep kimchi. Deep kimchi. Do you agree with the stats on farmers, the appearance and link between scrutiny industries lack is a target occurrence? I have no idea what you're trying to say, Neff. That sentence makes no sense to me. Record fuel prices are confirmed, with the corrupt government of South Africa promising relief. The greedy bastards say they're going to reduce the number of taxes on your petroleum. We'll see. The worst diesel price ever recorded in South Africa, up to 7.51 per liter rand, takes effect just after midnight on Tuesday and expected to leave South African farmers, transport companies, and motorists reeling and seething. Petrol of all grades increases by 3.06 liters. Last night on Newspod, when I was interviewed by Isak, he said he's kind of frustrated. He's paying more for petrol. Well, I think people would be a lot more frustrated if Iran was allowed to nuke Israel and drive the price of petrol up to $450 a barrel. I think that people don't understand what's happening geopolitically, don't care, and it's all about me, 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 me. I'm sorry that you're suffering short-term pain. I'm also paying at the pump, and I also appreciate the increase in cost and how it makes life more difficult. But if Iran turned Israel into pulverized glass with nuclear weapons, killing 3 million people, the price of oil would be at least $450 per barrel or more. And if you think it costs a lot of money now, you can't afford $450 per barrel. We're talking the price for petrol being on the order of 50 to 90 rand per liter. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Those of you complaining about things, start paying attention to global events. People do not, sorry, 904, it's under scrutiny by U.S. farm. Murder decreased by 50% now with focus on Iran murders. For what appears to be a link between whether the world is looking or not. No, I don't know where that data is coming from. I know Willem Petzer did some sort of video. I haven't seen the data. Where's the data coming from? Tell me where the data is coming from, and I will look at it. I really can't comment on it. I really can't comment because I don't have the information. Unlike a lot of these people who broadcast on the internet, I don't just spit stuff out of my mouth because someone asked me a question. There's thought that goes behind it. And if I haven't seen the data, if I haven't read the material, if I don't know what I'm talking about, then I won't talk about it. In this case, I don't know about these crime statistics. I haven't seen them. Is this from crime or from Statistics SA? I need to know where it's coming from. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange lost 3 trillion rand in value in the month of March. Oh, it's all falling apart. It's unraveling. It's unraveling in South Africa, folks, and it's happening quickly. Thank goodness for those who've gotten out, who moved abroad, and for those who made it to the United States under the refugee program. Over 4,000 now who are now here in the United States. We'll get the exact figures coming up in 3 more days, but probably 4 more days because it's a weekend. Oh, it's all unraveling now. Not a pretty sight for the ANC as they've destroyed this country. Johannesburg Stock Exchange torrid March saw the bourse shed more than 3 trillion in value as the raging war in the Middle East weighed on sentiment, marking the worst monthly loss since 2008. Meanwhile, my personal investment portfolio has grown 8 to 15% depending on the sector that I've been investing in while all this is happening. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange spoke to someone born 10 years after me last night. Our views on taking light facts or worlds apart decades seems to make a huge difference. I don't know if it's a decade. It has to do with acculturation. Acculturation is everything. Everything. Icarini's mayor has tried to squelch News 24 reporting on his purported ties to an assassination, a hit plot. Ekerlini mayor's high court bid to gag News 24 was thrown out. Well, that's good. We need to let Cockprot 24 put their foot in it every time they can. The Haotang High Court in Joburg threw out the mayor Noko Simpitfile Zakhaza's urgent bid to gag News 24 after a series of stories revealing his links to the alleged hitman responsible for Chief City Auditor Mpo Malofo's murder. In a ruling handed down today, acting judge Gary Myberg found the application was in fact not urgent and struck it from the rolls with cost. Mofole was gunned down in Kempton Park in June of last year. News 24 subsequently reported on how Zakhaza may have meddled in the investigation and tried to divert attention away from the 1.8 billion mobile chemicals toilets tender, porta potties, which was the subject of a scathing audit report Mofole had submitted just 3 days before his death. You see, if you expose the crimes of the ANC's politicians, you get killed. If you're a whistleblower in South Africa and you expose the corruption of the gangsters tied to the ANC politicians, you get killed. If you're an innocent technician engineer out repairing lines with children at home in your late 20s and you've done nothing wrong, and you get murdered, shot 36 times by thugs sent to murder the whistleblower and got it wrong. In South Africa, life is short, nasty, brutish, and cheap, and not valued by most people. Christianity may be the faith of the nation, but good Christianity is dying on the vine as gangsters take over the country. This clown, the mayor of Ekerlini, wanted 750,000 rand in damages, a retraction, and interdict barring News 24 and the journalist from doing any interview or posting statements that say or imply that he's responsible for the death of the official of the city. Well, they are trying to silence his free speech, and it did not work. Good to see the courts actually do the damn job for once. What's going on over here? Someone looking for attention. Let me see what's... What are you doing? If you have to say you're not a troll, then you must be trolling. So, all right, all right, I see someone took care of it. You get a short time out here. All right, so when you grow up and start acting like an adult, then you'll be able to chat again. Wow, some people just attention seeking. You know, you need attention so bad, go stand in traffic and jump in the street corner and get the attention there instead of messing with here. Well, somebody believes in South Africa. This would be the man who sleeps with his doors open at night in the Western Cape. Of course, he has 60 armed men with Uzis and cameras and, flamethrowers protecting his property. But hey, he can do what he wants. So he has acquired a South African healthcare unit for 950 million, Mediclinic. Johan Rupert's Remgro has signed an agreement to acquire full ownership of Mediclinic Southern Africa in a 950 million transaction. That's 16 billion rand, which will divide the private hospital group's assets along geographic lines. In preparation for NHI, no doubt, Johan Rupert become even wealthier by being in link with the ANC, in cahoots with the ANC. When they steal the healthcare sector, he'll make sure he gets a big fat contract. That's what's going on here. The deal will see Mediclinic Holdings divest its Swiss operations, the Hirsladen Group, to invest in a unit of MSC Mediterranean Shipping Company. At the same time, Remgro will acquire all shares in Mediclinic Southern Africa. Remgro and IHL each currently hold a 50% stake in Mediclinic Holdings. Once the restructuring is completed, both partners take full control of their respective regional businesses. Well, there you go. Mediclinic Southern Africa is the third largest private healthcare provider in the region by licensed beds. Its portfolio includes the Intercare Group, ER24 Medical Services, both of which become fully owned by Remgro upon the closure of the deal. Currently operates 50 hospitals, 15 day clinics, 6 subacute facilities, and 6 mental health centers, which is where they should send all the EFF members to, along with 3 private hospitals in Namibia, providing over 8,991 beds and employing more than 21,000 people. Wow. So, transactions are subject to regulatory approval in Switzerland and South Africa. I'm sure it'll be approved in South Africa because Johan Rupert is deep in the pockets of the ANC. Common sense. Why are people that are supposed to be clever so short-sighted and blind? A.K.A. Evil Iran has to be stopped and called for account since forever. Yes, common sense. But people are more worried about the price of fuel and how it affects them. When Israel is turned into a smoldering hulk of melted glass and 3 million dead people out of a population of 9 million, then perhaps these morons will wake up. But people, it's all about me. It's no one has the vision to think longer term about what's happening here. This is how the Jews were exterminated in Germany. Well, it's just the Nazis. They're not a big. They only have 1/3 of the parliament. The chancellor, the Reichstag. They only have 1/3 of the Reichstag. It's not much. Not a big deal. Next thing you know, millions of people, tens of millions of people are dead in Europe because of this. Gypsies, Sigourners, Sinti, communists. Well, not that I miss them, but they shouldn't have been murdered. Socialists, gays, mixed race Germans, Russian prisoners of war, Soviet prisoners of war, exterminated. Unbelievable. Lebensborns built to impregnate Norwegian and Danish girls and Dutch girls and turn them into good little Nazis. No, this is the problem with people who lack insight into geopolitical events. They don't think about the long-term impact of what they're saying and what they're doing. In 2022, I bought an Artemis t-shirt and a cap. I can't find it right now, but that was in preparation for 2025. I was thinking long-term. I didn't just buy it to have a t-shirt. I bought it for this mission. Well, hopefully I'll find it before they come back so I can wear both of them. But you have to think ahead. You have to plan ahead. The 2027 World Cup is in Australia. I've been preparing for it since 2019. Not that it was going to be in Australia. I didn't know that then, but I knew since the 2019. I prepare for two World Cups in advance. And that's complicated because I go to the Women's World Cup too. So I'm constantly prepping for World Cups. I'm already preparing for the U.S. World Cup in 2031. And I think that I'll go to very few games because America's a big-ass country and it's just too much. I may have to simply have to go to the closest games and then pick one place where games go back-to-back and spend a week somewhere because doing it in America is going to be very difficult to do the World Cup. Anyway, so you have to plan ahead. It doesn't mean you're going to be here in 3, 4, 5, 10 years. But if you don't plan, it just unfolds. And that's a very African thing to do. You just eat your seed corn now, worry about tomorrow when tomorrow comes. This is the problem. You want my cowboy hat? Okay. Is that better? Is that better? Yeah, doctors are already leaving South Africa. Nurses have been leaving for years. The presidency has named a new SARS commissioner, and surprise, 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 he's black. We don't get credit for that. We never talk about when all the officials are black, but when one white official is appointed, oh my gosh, they let white people be in the government of South Africa. Look at this. Wow. Dr. Johnstone Makubo has been appointed as the next South African Revenue Service Commissioner. The presidency says the appointment follows a unanimous recommendation by the selection panel, governed by Enoch Gondwana. He's been the deputy commissioner for taxpayer engagement operations since 2023. The incoming commissioner is a seasoned public and private sector executive with more than 17 years of senior leadership experience spanning tax administration, commercial finance, and operations management. Well, good luck to that. SARS is a very unpopular organization. I hope you do well. The coronation of a Nigerian king is nothing but a gimmick in South Africa. Cabinet criticized the coronation of Nigerian king in South Africa, calling it a kindergarten gimmick with no legal standing, and they're correct. Cabinet condemned the event, citing the traditional Khoi San Leadership Act, and noted an apology from the Nigerian High Commission. The Nigerians apologized for this. Wow. Kumbuzo Nshiveni said to the Nigerians, "You must remind them they are visitors in this country." Yeah, tell that to your journalist in D.C. who runs her mouth all the time. She's a visitor here, but she can't help herself. Cabinet is disgusted over the illegal coronation of a Nigerian chief. Well, this is just nonsense. He's not a chief. Minister of the Presidency, Kumbuzo Nshiveni, says the government has expressed disgust at what she described as the so-called coronation of Chief Solomon Ogbonna Eziko as Igwe Ndigo of East London. She briefed the media today in Pretoria on the outcomes of a cabinet meeting held yesterday. Her remarks follow protests over the alleged coronation, which ended in violence with cars torched and shops looted. Civic groups and political parties have condemned the event as illegal and disrespectful to South Africa's traditional leadership. Well, why haven't you detained him and deported him from the country? What are you keeping? Why, if he's causing war, why are you not civil unrest? Why are you not deporting him? Because he's Nigerian. 4 children stabbed to death at a kindergarten in Uganda. Let's take our guns away. That's not like we can use cars or poison or knives to kill people. The male suspect gained access by posing as a parent before attacking the children. Angry residents attempted to lynch the suspect as he tried to escape before security forces intervened and arrested him. We confirm a tragic incident at the Bagba Early Childhood Development Program in Kampala City, where a male suspect brutally stabbed and killed 4 juveniles. What the hell? Videos on social media showed distressed parents outside the nursery school, now cordoned off, seeking answers. And they point out such killings are rare in Uganda. It doesn't matter. It happened. 4 dead children. And you send your kids to school and they get murdered. Wow. Everyone talks about America, but they don't talk about when this happens elsewhere. Iran's president says in a letter that Iran harbors no enmity towards ordinary Americans. Iranian President Masoud Peshkian, how is this guy still alive? Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said in a letter addressed to thousands of people, including Americans, had funded the terrorism that killed 241 Americans at Marine barracks in Beirut on a peacekeeping mission in 1983. In addition to that, Iran has undermined the United States' influence around the world and has sought to interdict fuel supplies. He is a bold-faced liar with a nose the length of Pinocchio. And as far as harboring no enmity towards ordinary Americans, well, we harbor hatred and enmity towards your theocratic regime, which has imprisoned women, which has murdered homosexuals, which has falsely put people in prison, which has tortured its citizens, murdered 30,000 recently. You are evil bastards, and you will rot in hell and burn like cordwood. We harbor enmity towards your evil regime. You are nasty, disgusting, vile, repulsive excuses for human beings, and you shall be exterminated from this planet. How you like them apples, buddy? How you like them apples? Yeah, you don't harbor enmity towards us, we harbor towards you. So get over it. By the way, that is desperation by the Iranian regime trying to convince the American public that they're not a threat to the world. We love the Americans. It's just the Trump we hate. No, you are evil bastards, and we're not stupid to fall for it. Well, maybe Californians are, but we're not. Like relying on a drug dealer, the world's dependence on oil and gas has exposed a dangerous vulnerability. Ooh, well, thank you, CNN's Laura Paddleson and Ellen Nielsen. The world's reliance on oil and gas is exposed to dangerous vulnerability. You know another dangerous vulnerability? Humans' reliance on water and oxygen and nourishment. You know, these are things we have to have. We are vulnerable. Should we freak out over that? CNN. These are the boys who cry wolf. An aerial view of the Iranian shoreline, the island of Qasem in the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian blockade of the Strait of Hormuz has shown how easy it is for one country to turn geography into a ferocious weapon with devastating global impacts. It also reveals the truth about the dangers of the fossil fuel-powered global economy. It's heavily reliant on a handful of narrow maritime choke points, all in volatile regions. Well, duh. The entire world's economy is dependent on these narrow places. So here are the place we're talking about. The Turkish Straits, the Suez Canal, Bab el-Mandab Strait of the Red Sea, the Strait of Hormuz, the Strait of Malacca, and the Cape of Good Hope. All of these choke points the world is dependent on, not just for petroleum, but for all goods and services. Here you can see how they lay out some of them. As if these CNN journalists are rocket scientists and geographers who point out something no one else knew. We've known this forever. So they think that wind turbines are the answer. The problem is that China controls much of that market. China dominates the processing of raw material needed for clean energies. Cobalt, lithium, and rare earth elements are among the minerals and metals essential for building solar panels and wind turbines. China processes the largest share of them. Here you go. So cobalt, DRC, 182. Refined product, China dominates 196. Lithium, Australia is the biggest producer, surprisingly. Not a Southern African nation, or Southern American nation, excuse me. China processes more than anyone else. Rare earth elements, China 46, and they process 74% of rare earth. That's down from 95%, by the way. That is down from 95%. China's dominance in rare earth is beginning to wane, and they've used it like a weapon, which will backfire on them. Taiwan is having issues with its budget, and that's threatening a $2.4 billion acquisition of weapons, which are necessary to stop the Chinese who seek to conquer the island of Formosa. A delay in approving Taiwan's budget this year threatens $2.44 billion in weapons procurement, maintenance, and training, said a senior defense official. Defense spending is set to increase by nearly 23% this year because the Chinese are threatening Taiwan. Well, let's take a look at the UK's Navy. I frequently make fun of the UK Navy, claiming that there's no Navy. They have no Navy. It's completely gone. So it's all gone. The UK Navy is a complete joke, a shadow of what it once was. And I've been saying this for years. And, well, let's take a look at the facts. How accurate is Chris's analysis of the UK Navy? Well, the Associated Press runs a story which is kind enough to verify my point. I look into the UK's Royal Navy, which has faced jibe after jibe from Trump and Hegseth. Well, they've gotten jibe after jibe from me for 6 years on this program. UK has been at the forefront of Trump's ire since the onset of the Iran war. He's repeatedly lashed out at Starmer and branded the Royal Navy's 2 new aircraft carriers as toys. You don't even have a Navy, he told Britain's Daily Telegraph. You're too old and had aircraft carriers that didn't work. The HMS Queen Elizabeth and the HMS Prince of Wales are the largest and most powerful vessels ever constructed for the Royal Navy, though smaller and less capable than the U.S. Navy's main fleet carriers. However, they're widely considered to be highly capable, especially for coalition warfare, except they don't exist. Anyway, so it was not that long ago that Britain could muster a task force of 127 ships, including 2 aircraft carriers, to sail to the South Atlantic after Argentina's invasion of the Falklands. That 1982 campaign, which then U.S. President Ronald Reagan was lukewarm about, marked the final hurrah of Britain's naval pedigree. Nothing on that scale, even remotely, could be accomplished now. Since World War II, Britain's combat-ready fleet has declined substantially, much of it linked to changing military and technological advances and the end of empire. No, much of it linked to the pussy leftist behavior of the British government. The number of vessels in the Royal Navy, which include aircraft carriers, destroyers, frigates, and submarines, has fallen from 166 in 1975 to just 66 in 2025. Though the Royal Navy has 2 aircraft carriers at its command, there was a 7-year period in the 2010s when it had none. The number of destroyers was halved to 6, while the frigate fleet has been slashed from 60 to just 11 frigates. Here's the Royal Navy. 1975, its peak was in 85, and it has declined precipitously since then. Just 66 vessels left. And most of these aren't even fighting ships. 2 carriers, a handful of destroyers, 11 frigates, and a couple of submarines. The Royal Navy does not exist. It is a joke. UK military spending has been in decline for decades while they give money away to illegal aliens and house them to destroy the ethnic cohesion of England, flooding the country with people from all over the world, and then imprisoning Brits for speaking their free speech. This is the collapse of Britain. It is being colonized by the countries it once colonized. And the English and the Welsh and the Scots are being exterminated by their own government. In 1960, 7% of GDP was spent on defense. Today, barely 2%. And that's an uptick from just a few years ago. UK naval adverts on TV to recruit black women. DEI hire deserve everything they've sowed. Yep. Starmer has promised to raise UK defense spending 2.5%, but the goal is 3.5%. There you go. UK Navy, a joke. They once ruled the 7 seas. You know, it puts me in mind of someone else. The United Kingdom's Navy, once upon a time, mattered. It was a player on the global stage. United Kingdom's Navy ruled the 7 seas. Once they sail the 7 seas, folks. Once they sail the 7 seas. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, so this song is in honor of the British Navy. Although it's about the Iranians. This is about Iran. Sailed the 7 seas in the UK's Navy.
With a swagger in the breeze, in the
Iranian Navy.
We could do
as we please.
Hearts full of pride
And bravado!
Once we arrogantly threatened every nation
On the breeze in the Iranian Navy. Raise up your glass and sing it loud and wavy
for the bold and brave sight
of our Iranian Navy.
From the Gulf to the foam of the Western Sea, we were masters of the tide and the spray, but the wind has turned and the cannon's gone silent. Who now will answer our plea? Once we ruled the raging foam, now we've no fleet to
Call our own in the Iranian Navy. Into the wind with the
so well trimmed in the
Iranian Navy.
steel beneath our boots and salt upon our skin.
In the Iranian Navy.
Friends invited us to Cape Town.
Oh, chicas on the beach.
And bold. Sailors on shore leaving Simon's Town. Stories
Never untold.
Naval exercises with our friends from Moscow and Beijing.
Yes, with our friends from Moscow and Beijing.
Our presence made Arab nations tremble. Our blockade made oil
Prices treble.
together. The bold, brave, mighty sight of our
Iranian Navy. Raise up your glass and sing it loud and wavy.
for the roar and roll
Of Iranian Navy.
From the straits to the storm-lashed quay, we were thunder on the sea. But the dice were cast and the wager played, and pride went down with the flood.
Ah, it's the Chicas again.
Singing taverns dim and cold of stories grand and growing old.
In the Iranian Navy.
Our supreme leaders played
Chicken with the Dawn.
now.
All our ships are gone.
Rusting at the bottom of the sea, with whom shall we play?
In the Iranian Navy.
No longer sailing a lost dream, we see our song of lament and anger scream. Twisted hulks of metal lie, billowing flames of despair. The mighty Iranian Navy is no more, just smoke
Upon the air.
We want to surrender, we have no future, we can't even get a dinghy in
No water.
no harbor lights, no guiding star, no compass left to steer us far.
Raise up your glass and sing it loud and wavy for the ghost of the Iranian Navy.
The fleet lies cold beneath the foam, we'll drink to the days we ruled the brine. For once we sailed the seven seas and did as we pleased.
In the Iranian Navy.
Once we
We sailed the seven seas.
Once we sailed the
Seven seas. Iranian Navy. Gluck, 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 gluck. Wow, you F with the bull, you get the horn, ladies and gentlemen. Baba Chocolate is back saying it's all headed for November. Dude, who cares? Who cares? What is your point? The Republicans will lose the House and the Senate in November? I don't care. The Democrats won't gain enough, even if they get both those things, to change the trajectory. Trump has already enacted most of what needs to be done to right the course of this nation. The Democrats, oh, we're going to win in November. We won a by-election in West Palm Beach. Oh, what was that? Something fell. Oh, yeah. Relax. Nothing's coming of it, baby. Nothing's coming of it. Baba Chocolate. Well, dude, you always troll, but we'll leave that one alone. Well, speaking of unpopular, this is unpopular. Check this out. Yes, Friedrich Merz from the Christian Demon Rat Union of the German Federal Republic, the leftist hate wankers disguised as conservatives. The leftist hate wankers following their communist former leader, Angela Merkel. Sieg Heil, Angela. Yes, the former ehemaligen DDR resident, yes, who destroyed Germany, turning it over to the rapist, murderers, and thugs who invaded the German heartland, sexually assaulting German girls during Silvesterabend and attacking them in Schwimmbads and Hallenbads all across the country. And the response from their vile, repulsive, corrupt politicians in office, the Bürgermeisters, well, you shouldn't dress provocatively. Shut your cakehole. Sei ruhig, halt's Maul. Hier ist unser Land, hier ist Deutschland. Nicht für alle diese Ausländer, die haben keinen Grund, hier zu bleiben. Raus, Allah, raus. Millionen Familien, raus, raus, raus. Wieder nach Afrika, wieder nach Asien, wieder nach... Oh, Mensch, Meier. Solche Leute. Yeah, anyway, there you have it. There you have it. Gosh. Friedrich Merz is unpopular. Surprise, 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 surprise. Not at all. The CDU and CSU, the Christian Socialist Union, they even put socialist in their name, from Bavaria, and the SPD, the Socialist Panty Waiters, made many promises to voters, but according to polls, Germans are deeply disappointed with the governing coalition and have little hope that things will improve. Of course not, because this loser was picked. The first two state elections of the year have come and gone, and things are starting to pick up again with the federal government. For weeks, the coalition of conservative Christian Democratic and the CSU and the center-left SPD put governing on the back burner for fear of causing discontent among voters in Baden-Württemberg and Rhineland-Palatinate. All the while, long overdue reforms are needed to get Germany back on track. Kick the foreigners out. After taking office in May 2020, Chancellor Friedrich Merz announced he called an autumn of reforms, but there have been no reforms. The most recent Deutschland Trend survey showed 84% of respondents, a record high since Merz's government took power, are dissatisfied with his performance. The coalition's plunge in popularity is reflecting the popularity of its leaders. Chancellor Friedrich Merz's approval rating is 21%. and the world is obsessed with Donald Trump's 40% rating. Donald Trump is favored by 40% of the electorate, but Merz is favored by 21%. But let's talk about Donald Trump. The CDU has 26% popularity. SPDC is 12%. You thought the Nazis destroyed the Socialist Party of Germany, but no, it's themselves. The Alternative for Deutschland is up to 25%. The Greens and the Left Party have both increased to 14 and 10%. So that means that 35, 45, 49% of the population is in favor of minority opposition parties. That would be nearly half the country. Merz's popularity is waning. It sinks to new lows as German government collapse is coming. Just 15% back his pathetic government. Wow. Down 9 points since the beginning of March shows a staggering 84% of Germans are dissatisfied with Merz's coalition government. Does that include the Turks who get to vote? Are they part of that? Under the idiotic reforms that were enacted by Schröder, the communist lover who's making a fortune living in Russia, selling Germans down the river for Russian gas. Schröder, the worst thing that happened to Germany other than Angela Merkel. Emmanuel Macron, the left-handed surrender monkey from France, says it's unrealistic to open the Hormuz Strait by force. No, because the gay panty waiters from the French Navy can't do it. So therefore it's unrealistic. It takes real men to do the heavy lifting. So France can piss off and footsack. We don't need you in the Strait of Hormuz. Let your economy strangle and collapse. We've already been to the World Cup in 2023. You don't have another one coming, so we don't need France for anything. We don't need your wine. We don't need your song. We don't need your stolen art. We don't need anything from the French. And its largest city in North Africa being Marseille, yes, home of millions of Arabs. This left-handed surrender monkey can shove it where it wants to. French President Emmanuel Macron said on Thursday it will be unrealistic to launch a military operation to force open the Strait of Hormuz after President Trump challenged U.S. allies. 1,000 people have been killed across the Middle East since February 28th when the U.S. and Israel launched the attack. Some people defend the idea of freeing the strait by force via military operation, a position that's sometimes expressed by the United States, although it is varied, Macron told reporters in South Korea. What is he doing in South Korea? This was never the option we have supported because it's unrealistic. It would take forever and would expose all those who go through the strait to risk from Revolutionary Guards, but also from ballistic missiles. I'm sorry. The narrowest point of the Strait of Hormuz is 3 miles wide. You can't patrol with your pathetic French fleet 3 miles? Maybe we should have sank all those ships in Iran back in World War II. Wow. Baba Chocolata desperately looking for attention, talking about non sequiturs. You've been warned at the beginning of this program, Baba Chocolata. Anybody that talks about refugee questions during the news or goes attention seeking will be given a timeout. And you've just earned your timeout. So there you go. We're not playing games. I'll give you a short one, just 5 minutes. That way you can hang around, get a 5-minute timeout. You can't follow the rules. You fuck with the bull, you get the horn. I told you not to be attention-seeking. You're being attention-seeking. Kid Rock has not been discussed in this news program. So take your time out and be quiet. All right? Come back in 5 minutes. All right. You've not been blocked. You've just been given a timeout because you're acting like a petulant child on my program. We're busy talking about the panty waiters, the gay French Navy. In the French Navy. I should make a gay French Navy song. Yes, we should do that. That's right. The Can-Can girls in the French Navy. We should do one of their songs. Meanwhile, Kit Kat bars have been stolen. Whoa! Call Interpol. Kit Kat bars have been stolen. It's out of control, folks. The thieves are stealing everything now. Nestle's Kit Kat seeks help. The public tracker launched for 12 tons of stolen chocolate. It's all going to the ANC. Kit Kat is not giving up on finding its missing chocolate, with Nestle now launching a public tracker to help locate the stolen shipment. The Independent Online, previously, that's a toilet paper of record, previously reported that more than 400,000 Kit Kat bars weighing around 12 tons were stolen after a truck transporting the shipment disappeared while traveling from Italy to Poland. The vehicle and its cargo are still missing, with authorities still investigating the incident. Wow, maybe they're in the Tatra Mountains. In a short post on X, the company said the incident was not a publicity stunt or an April Fool's joke, but a real case of theft. Official statement in response to other official statements. Thank you for your interest in the missing Kit Kats, but just to clarify, this is not a stunt or an April Fool's joke. Someone really stole 12 tons of Kit Kats, and we really want to know where they've gone. So we've created a Kit Kat tracker. Man, if you have any information on the missing Kit Kats, eat as many as you can, then call them. I'm just kidding. Don't eat any of them. Well, fragile countries don't believe in free speech. Fragile countries try to imprison people for their actions. You see in South Africa, if you're Vicky Momberg and you've been nearly carjacked and you're in stress, if you're in distress and you're in shock and the police come and they're abusive towards you and you are more abusive towards them and use the K word, you are a convicted felon and sent to prison for your speech. But Julius Malema can call for the brutal murder of white South Africans a racist tyrant, a racist tirade, and he gets to say what he wants. The same thing is now happening in Brazil, where a corrupt leftist government is using the law to punish an Argentine woman who reacted inappropriately to something that occurred. An Argentine woman who is white could face years in prison after being accused of racism. The case has set off intense debate in Argentina and Brazil. Agustina Paez is arriving at the Argentine consulate this month to attend a news conference. The racist gesture made by a white that's not white. She's white. She's not white. That's a woman of color. She's not white. The racist gesture made by a white Argentine tourist towards waiters at Rio de Janeiro was captured on video and quickly ricocheted across the internet. The video recorded in January by an employee of the bar showed Agustina Paez imitating a monkey and uttering a racist slur as she walked away. In Brazil, the backlash was swift. She's a lawyer. She was arrested and charged with making a racist insult a crime under Brazilia's fragile laws. Now, the 29-year-old faced a possible prison sentence of 2 to 5 years and hefty fines in a case that's rekindled fierce debate in Brazil and Argentina. It's from Brazil. Oh, I got disconnected there. What the hell happened? What happened? I got disconnected. Are we still live? Well, that was interesting. A microsecond of disconnection. Yeah, Brazil ended slavery in 1888. The United States did in 1865. We ended the slave trade in 1808. Yet we have to pay reparations. Where are the Brazilians paying reparations? Yes. So this woman was being punished for her free speech. She is being punished for her free speech. What she did was atrocious. It was disrespectful and rude. But prison? No. That's unacceptable, ladies and gentlemen. This is what governments will do. Well, that's probably the State Security Administration from South Africa hacking into my channel and disrupting the flow. Yep. U.S. lifts sanctions on Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez. They lifted sanctions on her. Comes less than 3 months after they extradited Nicolas Maduro and his wife to face charges. Rodriguez is a close ally of Maduro who served as vice president, had been placed on sanctions list back in 2018. U.S. accused her of undermining democracy. Well, she did. She and her boss stole an election. She was sworn as interim president after Nicolas was extradited. In a post on X, Rodriguez called a significant step in the right direction to normalize the straight relations between our two countries. You see, freedom and liberty are not coming to Venezuela. Just money is flowing out of Venezuela, and the Trump administration is okay with that. I'm not. Trump administration, the House has punted the Department of Homeland Security spending bill. The White House, the House, and the Senate agreed last night on a new bill to fund DHS for the rest of the year, only for the House to renege on that promise just before I went live. 6 minutes before I went live, they reneged. The Senate on Thursday sent a bipartisan funding deal to reopen the Department of Homeland Security back to the House, which convened for just 2-minute session and took no action to pass it. The Senate's bill to fund the agency is now formally back with the House, and the shutdown will continue at least through Monday when the chamber will hold its next session. The plan would fund the department through September 30th, but omit money for President Trump's immigration crackdown. Ladies and gentlemen, these lazy, shiftless, rich, privileged, whiny, corrupt politicians need to get their asses back to Washington, D.C. and work like the rest of America. I am sick of them being on vacation. Lindsey Graham on vacation at Disney World. A Democrat on vacation gambling in Las Vegas when I was there. These politicians are useless scumbags. They deserve no vacation. How the hell can you go on vacation when the TSA is not even paid? You people are disgusting. You are repulsive. And you should all be primaried. Every one of you that left D.C., everyone, unless you went back to campaign or to do work with your constituents. But going to Disney World, going to Las Vegas, that is not what you're supposed to be doing when TSA agents aren't being paid. You are repulsive human beings, and just like ANC members of parliament, you must be removed from Congress, excised from the body politic at the ballot box. Saw a black South African podcaster pop up while scrolling a while ago. Had interesting title on the same track as Kool-Aid, but he's using the N-word. Yeah, well, there won't be any backlash against him. The Trump administration tells the Supreme Court that birth tourism is evidence of birthright citizenship needs to end. I agree. Unfortunately, the Solicitor General was a disaster. John Sauer was a joke, and the Supreme Court is not going to vote the right way here. They've wasted this. A lawyer for the Trump administration during arguments, Supreme Court leaned hard on his claim that so-called birth tourism is strong evidence the U.S. policy of automatically giving citizenship to babies born in the country needs to end. The lawyer, Solicitor General John Sauer, said there are many countries, or companies, he said companies that particularly cater to Chinese and Russian elites and offer them to enter the U.S. so their children can be born there and gain citizenship. Yeah, this needs to stop. But this was a pathetic performance before the Supreme Court. Even conservative justices were shaking their head. They're not going to get the outcome that they need. So how many people gained U.S. citizenship by gaming the system? Well, President Trump there to watch the case unfold at the Supreme Court. Arguments whether children born in the United States should automatically be granted citizenship. It goes back to a precedent set 158 years ago. The court will decide in Trump versus Barber whether Trump executive order limiting birthright citizenship is constitutional. Well, on June 27th, the justice voted 6-3 to partially stay temporary restraints on the order. But here we have projected births by illegal aliens. These are illegal aliens, criminals. Annually, 255,000 children, anchor babies, are born. By 2045, that could be 2.7 million per year. Wow. So this is the figure they're using for illegal aliens in the country. It's down by actually 24 or 20 plus million. It's closer to 30 million here. They're saying it's 14 million. That's wrong. So where do these foreigners live? Well, in California, 27% of the population are not citizens. In Texas, 17% are not citizens. In Florida, 22% are not citizens. In New Jersey, it's 24%. In New York, it's 23%. In Pennsylvania, it's 7.5%. It should be 0.5%. In Mississippi, it's 2.2%. Thank goodness it's low somewhere. In New Hampshire, it's 6%. All these illegals who have no business being here. And legals. There are legals in that total, too. The total foreign-born population of the United States dropped to a nadir of just 4.7% in 1970, which is where it should be. Now, 14% of the people that they admit in this country aren't citizens. Where do they come from? Half from Latin America, 31% from Asia, just 10% from Europe. Yeah, there you go. So here are the number of naturalized foreigners in this country. Over 20 million American citizens are naturalized. And there are 50 million foreigners living in a country of 330 million people. That's too many. Here is policy on birthright citizenship around the world. You'll see that Australia, your parents must be legal residents. Germany, your parents must be legal residents. The UK must be legal residents. Niger must also have been born in the country. Namibia must be legal residents. The Congo must be born in the country. Iran, your parents have to have been born there in order for you to get it. So that's the situation with birthright citizenship. The White House and their lawyers have screwed this up royally. As a consequence, these criminals will continue to be able to put their anchor babies here and get U.S. passports, forcing us to intervene in the activities of foreign countries. People who have no loyalty or allegiance to this country have no business being citizens. John Roberts told Donald Trump exactly what he thinks. Trump was there for the opening of the court case, but Trump was sitting in the spectators gallery because the case is not about him, but he's there. And John Roberts said exactly how he felt about the program. John Sauer argued that a sprawling industry of birth tourism has led to uncounted thousands of foreigners from potentially hostile nations arriving in the U.S. to have their children here. He said, "We're in a new world now," he told John Roberts, "where 8 billion people are one plane ride away from having a child who's a U.S. citizen." And John Roberts casually and arrogantly said, "Well, it is a new world, but it's the same Constitution." Well, the Constitution is wrong. And it does not. Well, your interpretation of the Constitution is wrong. I'm sorry, the Constitution is right. The 14th Amendment was intended to give citizenship to former slaves, not to anchor babies. Well, 5 takeaways from President Trump's address last night. And my thoughts on that is he simply sought to calm the markets and calm the people. Anton Mulder says, "If I understand the law correctly, you can go on holiday with your pregnant wife and the baby." He says, yes, correct. That's wrong. President Trump did not define a clear path out of the conflict. Oh, I thought he did. I disagree with the New York Slimes. He urged Americans to keep the war in perspective. True. He appeared to rule out a raid to capture Iran's enriched uranium. True. He said the Strait of Hormuz is not America's problem. True. And he hailed the Venezuela operations model for Iran again. Mostly correct story from the New York Slimes. They did a pretty good job there. Well, U.S. jobless claims have collapsed once again, another indicator that the economy is more robust than the leftists admit. U.S. jobless aid filings fell to just 202,000 as layoffs remain low despite uncertainty. U.S. applications for unemployment benefits fell last week as layoffs remained sparse despite a softening labor market. Number of Americans applying for jobless aid in the week of March 28th fell by 9,000 to 202,000, the previous week's 211,000. That's fewer than 212,000 new filings analysts surveyed predicted. So once again, the economy is doing better than they predicted. And of course, the media won't highlight that. They'll just talk about other things. Well, the death of a nearly blind refugee in Buffalo has been ruled a homicide. Death of a nearly blind refugee left at a Buffalo donut shop by Border Patrol is ruled a homicide. This is a nonsensical ruling. The death of a nearly blind refugee from Myanmar who was found on a Buffalo street in February 5 days after border agents left him at a donut shop has been ruled a homicide. The Erie County Medical Examiner's Office didn't reach any conclusions about responsibility for Nurul Amin Shah Alam's death, which the agency said was caused by complications from a perforated duodenal ulcer precipitated by hypothermia and dehydration. Ruling a death a homicide means it resulted from another person's actions or inaction, but doesn't necessarily mean the crime was committed. This should not have happened, Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz, Democrat, of course, said in a news conference. Asked whether the Border Patrol was responsible for his death, he declined to comment, yet because they're not. State Attorney General Letitia James and Erie County District Attorney Mike Keene, both Democrats, noted Wednesday their offices have been reviewing the case. They are not going to make a comment. U.S. Customs Border Patrol Protection pointed Wednesday to its previous statement that he showed no signs of distress, mobility issues, or disabilities requiring special assistance when they dropped him off on February 19th at a Tim Hortons restaurant, which is where he asked to be taken to. And he dropped him off there. So they're saying that dropping someone off and giving them a ride and taking them to a place they asked to go to can be considered a homicide. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. No. They should have just taken him back to his residence. That's what they should have done. Why they didn't do that, I don't know. Should have done against his will and taken him there. Well, if Trump's tariffs worked, it's been a year since Liberation Day. Yep. The government has collected a lot of money, but has to give half of it back. Well, that's still in debate whether they have to give half of it back. But it's given to importers who've stolen it from consumers. The importers have stolen it from us, and many of us had to pay the tariffs. And like Rugby World Shop has stolen money from me, charging me an 80% tariff or a 70% tariff for what was a 10% tariff from the UK, stealing my money. Will I get my money back? I doubt it. Pam Bondi's fired. Well, it's about time. I didn't see that. Inflation remains elevated? No, it hasn't. Inflation in February is 2.4%. It was habitually 10% or more under a Biden regime, despite the government lying and saying it was 6 and 7 and 8 and 9%. It was better than 10% habitually. 2.4% is not inflation. That's normal. That's not high. That's just dishonest by National Public Radio. The trade deficit hasn't changed much. That's true. Import taxes were high, but not as high as a year ago. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Let's take a look and see if we can find this Pam Bondi story because we're almost at the end of the news here. She's overdue to be fired. No, he hasn't fired her. He's disgusted. He's discussing firing with her. Oh, wait. Now it says she's fired 5 minutes ago. Whoa, you're right. Oh, there you go. 5 minutes ago. Trump fires Pam Bondi's Attorney General, according to sources. Attorney General Pam Bondi has been fired. Oh, wow. President Trump had grown more and more frustrated with Bondi recent days, a person familiar with the case said. Wow. All right, Pam Bondi's been fired, according to NBC News. Thank you for that update. Wow. That's crazy. So, And CNN, just a few minutes ago, says she's been ousted. President Trump has ousted Pam Bondi as Attorney General. She'll be replaced by now Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. In recent days, he talked to allies about the possibility of firing her and talked about her personally on Wednesday about the possibility of what happened. Sources said Bondi was told she would be given a different job in the conversation. Trump has been frustrated from multiple fronts, including her handling the Epstein files. He's also fumed that she has not investigated or prosecuted enough of his political opponents. Well, I want her to prosecute those who violate the Constitution. That's what needs to happen. Well, it doesn't matter whether Trump likes you. If you're not getting a job done, you're not getting the job done. One matter drawing Trump's attention, investigation of whether former CIA director, communist John Brennan, made false statements to Congress. Well, he did. Yep. So, wow, Pam Bondi is out. She's out. Well, it's long overdue. I've been disappointed in Pam Bondi for almost a year. I thought she'd be a good pick, but it's proven to be nothing but feckless and useless. Yep. Immigrants seeking asylum find themselves sent to third countries they've never been to. Well, too bad. You shouldn't have come here and tried to defraud my country. Yep, the Afghan man who fled the Taliban for refuge in upstate New York. Excuse me, I'm sorry. When did New York become adjacent to Afghanistan? Isn't Pakistan and India, aren't they adjacent? Why are you coming to America, Mr. Afghan? Yeah, the Cuban woman was working at Texas Chick-fil-A. Why is she here? Why doesn't she go the other direction towards Venezuela or Costa Rica or Mexico? Why are you in America? She was arrested for traffic violations, sent to Ecuador. There's a Mauritanian man living in Michigan. He told he'd have to go to Uganda. Venezuela mother in Ohio told she'd be sent to Ecuador, and the Bolivians, Ecuadorians, and so many others cross country ordered sent to Honduras. There are 13,000 immigrants. They're not immigrants. They're not immigrants, and they're not here legally. Not here legally. There are more than 13,000 immigrants. They're not immigrants. CNN or AP, you're a liar. Of course, AP also spells black with a capital letter because they're morons, so you really can't trust a lot of their reporting. These people are not here legally. The Biden administration violated the law, giving them sanctuary when he did an authority. Baba's back. She's cooked him. What you see, what I mean, this isn't normal. It is perfectly normal to fire incompetent members of your cabinet. Perfectly normal. In fact, if Cyril Ramaphosa was an actual leader, then South Africa would have witnessed the firing of Angie Mocheka, of Ronald Lamola, of John Steenhuisen, of Leon Schreiber, of a host of others. All would have been fired for incompetence. But it's not a real country, South Africa. So, yep. Pam Bondi's firing was always in the cards. That's correct. She has not been doing the job for a long time. It's perfectly normal, Baba Shalokal. And if you don't understand that, you don't understand politics. You don't understand how the U.S. system works. Perfectly normal. If South Africa was a real country, Ronald Lamola would be on his ear. Angie Motshek would be on her ear. Gone. Gone. Trump's VA killed a home loan program. Vets are now losing homes because of it. Well, that's a partially true story published by the National Public Radio, but it's also a passel of lies. This problem was created by Joe Biden. More than 10,000 veterans lost their homes to foreclosure since May of last year because they didn't pay their mortgages. When the Trump administration shut down a key safety net in the VA home loan program, according to latest industry data. Except Trump didn't do this. Biden did this. 90,000 vets are headed towards foreclosure. This comes after years-long debacle inside the VA has whiplashed thousands of vets between various enacted and canceled programs, left many of them on the brink of losing their homes. A loan backed by VA is considered one of the most valuable benefits for military service members and has helped millions achieve home ownership, me included. But for nearly a year now, vets have had worse protections and options than most other homeowners if they fall behind. The roots to the crisis go back to a mistake made during the Biden administration. Oh, here we go. Halfway down the story, we admit the truth about what's happening. During the Biden administration, when the VA abruptly shut down a pandemic assistance program while thousands of vets were still in the middle of it. Struggling homeowners who used the program to skip some mortgage payments suddenly had to pay those payments back all at one time. An unaffordable burden for many of them. So they're blaming Trump for what Biden did. No, dishonest. Yet more than 10,000 veterans have lost their homes through foreclosure sales. Well, here's what I have to say. If you're a veteran, it doesn't give you a free pass. You have to pay your mortgage. I pay my mortgage every month. Yep. A 4.7 magnitude, a little more than a tremor at 4.6 magnitude earthquake has hit in Santa Cruz County, California. It was initially registered with a magnitude of 4.9, was downgraded to 4.6. That's barely noticeable. 2:45 in the morning. I mean, would that even wake me up? I don't know. Well, Trump initially laid out 5 goals for Iran. Here's where they stand, according to Edward Wong of the New York Times. We're going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally again obliterated. What kind of sentence is that? Well, that's happening. We're going to annihilate their navy. Yes, we've done that. We're going to ensure the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region of the world and attack our forces. Well, that's partially complete. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. Okay, well, we don't know the status of that. And finally, to the great people of Iran, I say tonight, your hour of freedom is at hand. Not really. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. And when we're finished, take over your government. You should take over. Well, the Iranian people show no signs of overthrowing their government, unfortunately. And that, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, is the news. We took a long time on the news today, an hour and 20 minutes. Yep, it's like blaming Jan van Riebeck, Daddy Sarcastic, for the current problem. That's correct. Biden should be sued and held accountable for his stupidity. Biden should be put in a home for retards. He's mentally deficient. He doesn't have. He's never been mentally acute. The guy was plugs. Biden arose to Congress from a tiny little state with virtually no voters, and the people don't bother to vote. And this moron came to office in 1972 and stayed in government until 2019 with a brief break, or 2021 with a brief break. It's what Democrats do when they're in trouble. They blame Trump for their own actions. Blaming Trump for inflation. For affordability, a situation created by the Democrats. Nicholas, I appreciate your sentiment, but this is not the place to prophesize. If you put another statement up about prophesizing for a faith, you will have it removed. And a third instance, you will be given a timeout. A fourth instance, you'll simply block the channel. Please do not prophesize on my program. You want to be a person of faith, I respect that, but this is not the place to do anything about it. Yeah, Ewan is shocked that someone's being fired. Okay. All right, what else we got here? Where are the tariffs kept? Baba Chocolati, you're pushing for another timeout. Aframir Connor, I apologize for my lack of knowledge, but why does America capitalize their own oil? What do you mean America capitalized? Of course they capitalized on it. We are the world's largest energy producer, the world's largest oil producer, world's largest natural gas producer. What do you mean, how do we not capitalize? We capitalize on it massively. We're not importing oil. We don't need to import oil. I mean, yeah, there's some oil that comes in, there's some oil that goes out, but our needs are met by domestic production consumption. What do you mean it would capitalize? We are capitalizing massively. The U.S. benefits immensely from the fact that we're not sending our hard-earned currency abroad for oil, which gives us flexibility to buy TVs from Korea and crap from China. CMD says again, good heavens, they need to be locked in. I saw a new black Southern... Okay, I saw that. Juju's court date is in like 14 days. Or his sentencing's in 14 days. I lagged for a second time. I didn't see that. The riots when people were showing off all their stolen goods. Just get on Facebook. I'm sure the thieves are bragging about the chocolates. Yeah, no doubt. We'll go find them. Kit Kat, Kit Kat, Kit Kat, Kit Kat. Nothing wrong with the French women. Some of the Navy. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Gulf states are currently using their backup pipelines and trucking oil in to be shipped. Yep, they're bypassing it. Okay. Yeah, that was a drone carrier. The Iranians didn't have an aircraft carrier. That carrier was built to launch drones, and also was used for helicopters. There were no fixed-wing aircraft that were using it, didn't have the strength. That's a converted cargo ship turned into an aircraft carrier by the Iranians because they can't afford to build one. Bambi Slayer! How's it going? Garrett Gillich is here. Big Fish. Emergencia Quinn, thank you for your membership. Love this song, so do I. No, France is not going to jump in the Straits of Hormuz. All right, any questions about refugee? I'll answer it now. It's in Africa. I saw an interview with Ken who explains that in Africa there's nowhere for maintenance because there's no thought for the future. Yep. Plan ahead, but why people fight and have opinions about things that you have no valid opinion is insane. Yeah, I'm with you, Common Sense. I have no knowledge of ballet. I barely understand it, so I couldn't argue anything about ballet. What is Mr. Sergeant Duck? What are you complaining about now? Freedom of speech. What freedom of speech? What are you talking about? That's completely out of context. Are you like 40 minutes behind in the broadcast? People are stuck. People are stuck where? People are stuck where? Freedom of speech. You don't understand what freedom of speech is. Freedom of speech in the Constitution is guaranteed that the government cannot abridge your right to speak what you want to say. That is what freedom of speech is. If you're referring to my channel, you can't say what you want to say. If you don't like that, then go elsewhere. It's as simple as that. People are stuck. You're stuck. You're stuck on stupid. You keep typing things that are not related to conversation. If you have a question, ask it. If you have a statement, make it. But don't type 3 words and act like you're special. Sharon Goslin says she'll see us soon in America. All right, you're welcome. Okay, I got my ticket today. Veroshka got a ticket. You've been complaining about tickets too, Veroshka. Not so much, but a little bit. You got a ticket. Well, congratulations. He's going on about... See, that's I'm asking. It's unrelated to anything. What is he saying there? Yeah, what drugs are you on, Mr. Sergeant Duck? Exactly, and where can I get some? And more worried if Juju becomes president. Juju is not going to become president. That's not going to happen. You guys don't understand the dynamics of South Africa's politics. It's not going to happen. Malema will not be president. Just not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Andreas took the drugs and drugs are working. His court date is in 14 days. I just said that. It's like April 16th, I think it is.
Out in the heartland, the truth runs deep. Colonel Chris White, he don't lose no sleep. Retired from the ranks, but he's still in the fight. With a mic in his hand, he's a beacon of light. From Africa's plains to the podcast airwaves, he's calling out the lies, no time for the games. With a voice like thunder,
All right, that's something someone else did. That's not one of my songs. That's not one of my songs. That's not one of my songs. Okay, it's a little frustrating for me when people ask questions. Loretta, you're on here all the time. I have repeatedly, virtually every broadcast talked about Church World Services in Tampa, how they did a great job. On 2 different broadcasts, I showed the photographs of a family that arrived, the house they live in, all the stuff that was waiting for them. I've talked about it. Tampa is not for me. It's too hot, too humid, but it's a it's a fine city, okay? All right? We've talked about this over and over and over.
The streets are quiet, the people scream. Promises fading like a broken dream. Tariffs climbing, the weight's too steep. The future's calling, but it don't come cheap. Let's get it together. Rise up and fight. Through the dark days, we'll find the light. South Africa bleeding, but we're still strong. We'll turn this pain into a battle song. Jobs are gone like smoke in the breeze. Leaders talk, but they don't appease. The people wait while the powers stall. How long till we break or stand tall? Let's get it together. Rise up and fight. Through the dark days, we'll find the light. South Africa bleeding, but we're still strong. We'll turn this pain into a battle song.
Can I contact our situation? Tickets canceled my 4th May. We were now placed on review. We are homeless at this point. You can reach out to me, Americaner. Please do reach out to me, but put in the subject line on the email. You must put that username, like you spelled it there. It's all caps, so I can see that it's all caps. Then on the rest of the subject line, say request for assistance. I can't promise you housing. I'll do my best to find something. You're going to have to tell me how many people are in your family, the ages and the sexes that you need to accommodate. I'm not putting a 38-year-old man in a bedroom with an unrelated 9 or 10-year-old girl. That ain't going to happen. I'll do what I can. What I can promise you is if you have a place to cook food, I can get food to you. That I will promise. Our cooperation and our partnership with Food Socks and Carl von Blerk, I can get you food. Arnie says, stop interrupting the song. Never upload my documents. My case shows 0 documents. No, it's nonsense, Andres Muller. Nonsense. That's nonsense. Stop looking at the portal. The fact that it says 0 documents doesn't mean 0 documents upload. Please stop looking at the portal. My goodness, people kill me with this stuff. Song makes me want to vote Freedom Front Plus. That's cool. A battle zone. I've interrupted the song 1 time. What are you talking about? Stop interrupting the song. All right. So people want to vote Freedom Front Plus. I guess on behalf of Freedom Front Plus, we'll finish the song off.
our tariffs cage. We're a wildfire in a burning age. The ain't seen others, but we'll ignite. We'll take the reins and set it right. Let's get it together. Rise up and fight. Through the dark days, we'll find the light. South Africa bleeding, but we're still strong. We'll turn this pain into a battle song.
So a moment ago, I saw in here, Tech52 says, I've reached out to you, still waiting a response. Well, I'm still rating dinner. You know, I like to have a life too. And there are no messages in my email from anyone known as Tech52. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't know who Tech52 is. And how am I supposed to find out who that is amongst the 5,952 unread email messages in that account? So I really can't help you if you keep me guessing. We're not going to play guess a game. You want help? Then you're going to have to tell me who the hell you are so I can find your message. Weeks ago. Well, I have nothing from weeks ago. Nothing, Tech. Nothing from weeks ago. I searched that name. It doesn't show up in my email. Yeah, lots of hurty feelings, James. Yep. Yeah, imagine Courtney Miller walking out. That would be pretty cool. Email to say they're no longer accepting email documents who are asked to upload the documents. Okay. Exactly. Most people under refugee on the portal under review, and so people need to quit stressing about that. I'm going to make a video here about the situation with those who haven't left. I'm going to make a video here shortly, and I'm going to publish it. But look, I mean, it's starting to become not worth my time. I mean, honestly, I'm beyond cheesed about how few people have actually watched the video interview I did in Las Vegas. I mean, I went to a lot of trouble to do that. That's an excellent interview, and it has just, what, 9,000, not even 9,000 views. What is 8,000 views? 9,200 views. That's pathetic. I mean, you know, where are all these people that want to know what's going on? You know, instead they want to go to WhatsApp groups, and they want to go to Facebook groups, and they want to listen to people who don't know what they're talking about, whine about things when I put up something. I mean, I see these people send me screenshots from these Facebook groups of 30,000 people, and they're on there whining and moaning about stuff when all the answers are right here. They're right here. They're right here. So, you know, is it even worth my time to make these videos, you know? Honestly, it's becoming increasingly frustrating. Thank you, Andres, for watching it. All right, Loretta, see you later. In terms of new law purchasing of firearms, you should have the correct status, does not. Yeah, as far as I know, you cannot buy a firearm if you're residing in America and you're not a permanent resident. I believe that's true, but you can't hold me to that. And every state has its own laws anyway, so you have to look at 54 states. Excellent, highly educational. People just need to apply themselves. Yeah, well, not just apply themselves. People need to watch the damn video, you know? Daisy said that video is worth hyping. Yeah, you can hype in the U.S. Yeah, you guys watch it. You're here regularly. But it hasn't been watched by a large number of people. I mean, it's really getting frustrating making videos that aren't being watched, you know. The only time I get tons of views is when I say something really bad. If I talk good stuff, people don't watch it. Yes, people want a quick fix. You're right, Meerkat. You're right. And many people do want a quick fix. Many people are just lazy. Okay. Sound is back. Well, Sally, I don't know what happened to your sound. Andre says I responded to his email. I'm waiting for Tech to tell me what email I'm looking for here. You say you wrote to me weeks ago, but you're not telling me where to find it. Still waiting for a response. Well, no, you haven't reached out to me because I don't know who you are. I've asked you to tell me who you are. Give me your, you know, give me something. Give me, you know, letters from a search term that I can search for, or the title of the email, and I can do something. But I have nothing from you. Nothing from you. Someone wants to sponsor my channel. Yeah, I don't buy this stuff. I don't see anything here from anyone with that name. No one with Tech. And I don't know who you are. I mean, if people think I can read minds, I can't read minds. If you don't tell me who you are, I can't figure this out. I mean, I have 5,994 emails, and I just went through 100 emails answering them 2 days ago. So I don't know. And most people are asking me things that are just silly. If they just listen to what I say, very few of these are actually things that need my attention. I have to waste time reading messages from people who don't listen to my videos. And I'd say about half the emails I get or more are people that don't even watch my program. You know, you could at least have the courtesy to watch my program, you know. Anyway, yeah, I'm looking. I've gone back several days. I see nothing here from anybody named Tech. And I did search, hey, Debbie, so much information. If you, yes, there was, Debbie, and it's only got 8,000 views. Very annoying. Thank you for 350 Rand. Exactly. Resend email right now. Arnie says, Senior Chris Wyatt can read minds. Yep. Okay. No, Loretta, no need to apologize. I'm just saying it's frustrating because I mention on virtually every broadcast. I mention that. I talk about, you know, Church World Services and how they fail in Rochester and how they succeed in Tampa. And the folks in Tampa are doing very well. I've mentioned almost every broadcast I mention that. I guess people don't hear what they're looking for and it just goes past them. No need to apologize, Loretta. Do you believe people shouldn't stress? You will go when you're your turn. Exactly. And stop attacking me if you don't get to go. It's silly. Some people attacking me. Justin Butt has been watching all my videos and got all his answers. Well, thank you, Justin. I'm glad you got what you needed. Daddy Sarcastic says, I watch every video. I love that there are people who take pride in what they do. Well, I do take pride in what I do. Do I work in Harrisonburg? No, it's Harrisburg, Sharon. I do not work in Harrisburg, but it is 15 minutes from where I reside. We've had the first family arrive under the refugee program a short while ago, and that gentleman will actually be working about 20 kilometers from my house, maybe a little less than that. So if you're coming to Pennsylvania, Sharon Gosselin, and you're going to Harrisburg, then the odds are that I will see you either the day you arrive or maybe at the airport or after you arrive. Yep, odds are very good if you're coming to central Pennsylvania because I'm helping out the refugee agency there. Once again, uncompensated. No money asked for. Giving of my time. Yep. Emails, news events. No, you can keep sending me emails, Meerkat. That's fine. Anybody can write to me emails in there. I go through all of them, okay? Okay, I'm still waiting for Tech to send me an update, and I'm going back. Did I miss it? Did Tech give me information so I could find that email? I don't see it. If Tech wrote something, I'm not seeing it. Let me look in my email folder and see if I've received something. Sharon got best news ever. I take it you're coming to Harrisburg, Sharon. Okay, let me go to my folder and see if maybe Tech resent that. I got an email an hour ago, so no, he hasn't sent anything, or whoever Tech is hasn't sent anything. Yep. Banfield Pet Hospital needs someone with your skills. Apply now. No, thank you. Anyway, also, you know, people write me emails, and I get so many emails with the same topic, same question. I make a video, and then they're like, "You never responded." I did respond. I made a video. Watch my content. I'm not going to sit here and answer the same question for 35 people who ask the exact same question 35 times. That's why I make a video. Your family's there. You talking about the people who arrived here about a week or so ago? Corey wants an RV. Well, it isn't going to work that way. Do you have the money to buy an RV? They're not going to put you in a recreational vehicle. That is not suitable housing. Veroshka is coming to Harrisburg. Well, okay, Veroshka. Wow. Then I guess we'll all have to go to hang out at Starbucks. Look at that. So now we're finding out who's coming to Pennsylvania. Maybe we need to do super chats or Chris Ronaldo to buy Prestige a coffee. Well, buy a coffee is a scam. It's a scam. Those bastards stole my money, and they never refunded it, so fuck them. They stole my money. I signed it for buy a coffee, and Hendo sent me $5, I think. Someone else sent me money to buy a coffee, and they stole my money. They stole my money. I lost $40 from buying my coffee, so I will. I have an account with Buy Me a Coffee, but it's a ripoff. Let me see if they get my money back. Buy me a coffee. Let's see. Log in. They're just scumbags who stole my money. It's been so long since I've been logged in. Let's see if my account's even active still. Yep, I have 0 earnings. So Brett Sessons gave me $5. Brett Sessons gave me $5. Alex Visser gave me $25. Brett Sessons, 25, 30, 35. That's $40. And they stole all my money. I never took the money. They're just thieves. So here you go. I'll show you. I'll prove it to you. I'll show you right here. They're just thieves. I never took this money. Earnings, $0. All time. Earnings, $40. And I never got a penny of it. They stole all my money. They're thieves. Buy me a coffee's a thief. Currently inactive. Well, it's inactive because you thieves stole my money. Yeah, and I called them, and they just blew me off. William's going to send me money next week, okay? You're welcome, Rena. PayPal is a great option. In fact, let me look at my PayPal, because someone may have done something in there. PayPal is a great option because in dollars they take nothing. In foreign currency they take a small amount. Yeah, let me see. So let's see. It takes a while to get to PayPal. Okay, March 31st, someone sent me some money. Thank you for that. March 20th. Wow. Oh, for the Nevada resettlement detail, home run. Thanks. Okay, thank you so much for that. It's very kind. March 16th, I got $17.50 in a Spreadshirt for people buying my kit. Okay. All right, let me look this up because somebody sent me a what? Let me see this. Okay. Ah. All right, so I just sent it to the person who sent me that message from back then. All right, yeah, so back to, so I've got, yeah, there's the payment for my flight, $900 to go to Vegas over a month ago. Yep. So anyway, all right. So yeah, I got a payment from somebody for the Nevada thing. Thank you for that, $100. Yep. Thank you very much for that. And then I got $100 to the same person who, when I did the ORR video, and then they also sent me $100 before that. So thank you very much for that. It's very kind of you. PayPal is a great way. I get every penny of it. There's no cut goes to YouTube. PayPal. Can you transfer money in the USA from your PayPal to your bank account? Yes, you can. You can, William. Yeah, you can. That's why that's the big thing about it. In fact, yeah, family's so happy. Beautiful house, lots, nice things. Oh no, I forgot to do the like button. Thank you, Vanner Kruger. Chances after application will be denied if you've been in a clean criminal record. That's not a new question, Sonia. You'll be denied if you're not eligible. If you've got no base, if you haven't made your case, then you'll be denied. But I mean, how do you not make your case? 145 race-based laws should be sufficient in my book. There will be denials coming. Yep. I think I've answered that now. Okay. Andre the Great, welcome to you. All right, guys. I look forward to the dollars coming. When are you coming to Erie to help out the young guy? Well, I need an answer from the Office of Refugee Resettlement about that guy's case, Jason. Again, do you guys, can I have a break here? I mean, do people pay attention to what's going on? I have consulting with the War College. I had a week in between. I had to leave consulting and only do 4 days instead of 5 days to go to Vegas. I have consulting beginning Monday for 2 weeks. I can't go anywhere during that time frame because in order to go to Erie, I need several days because I have to drive all the way across the country, all the way across the state, stop in Pittsburgh, visit the Ostoys and see how they're doing. From there, I got to go to Ohio, visit my sister, then visit refugees in Columbus. From there to Cleveland. Okay, every one of those stops is a day. From here to Western Pennsylvania, that's the first night. The next night to Ohio to see my sister, that's the second night. And then the day to see the folks in Columbus, that night I'll stay in Cleveland. That's 3 nights. Then a night in Erie's 4 nights. and come back. I need 5 days to make a trip like that, okay? I'm not driving 5 hours to Erie for one thing. I've already talked to that young man, okay? Okay, I think I've answered all the questions here. All right, guys, I need to wrap up here because I'm still waiting for Tech to tell me what email. Dude, I cannot help you if you don't tell me what email. I have 5,990 unread messages, okay? If you want me to look at your email, you have to tell me. Don't just come in my chat and say you sent me a message weeks ago. Obviously, your message wasn't important. I just asked if you did receive my email. I don't know if Loretta, I don't know if I received your email. Hang on, let me see. I have one from March 31st with a lot of detail in it. Is that the one, Loretta? Is that the email you're talking about, Loretta? Three cases and a whole bunch of stuff. Is that the one you're talking about? If you sent it March 31st, 2 days ago. That's what I'm asking. Okay, I've got it. Okay, I'm not sure. You asking me for something? Okay, you're just informing me about your situation. Okay, that you're not asking for anything that I can do about it. Okay. Now this one's interesting. Someone is asking me if I can help them find a place to rent for 2 or 3 months. I mean, that's interesting. I'm not in South Africa. I'm not a real estate agent. I'll see what I can do about that. Oh, Gray Man Ocean. Thank you, Sally. I didn't see it. That's why I said. All right, let me go find that. Thank you for somebody putting there. Like I said, I may have missed it earlier. Okay, got it. Okay, just send it 144. Okay. Oh, that's okay. Okay, that's the person. Okay. Got it. All right, thank you. I'll see what I can do. What's Sharon saying, oh dear, about? Good night, Tinky Keiser. Okay. Yeah, okay, Tech 52, I got it. Thank you very much for that. Okay, I've got it. I'll see what I can do. We'll see what I can do on that one, okay? All right, guys. I mean, this is why I need to be I should have a business, a clearinghouse, and I can have a real estate business. I can have a food service business. I can do all this stuff. Consulting, throw it all in. I can make money hand over fist. All right, that's going to be it. You all take care. I'll see you later for Night Owls tonight. Asked me to send you our case. Yeah, I know I did, Loretta. I did ask you. Thank you. Okay, but yeah, I didn't know if I need to act on something right now. Okay, so yeah, shoot. Tomorrow we're planning on having an interview with Mad Max. Mad Max will be on the program tomorrow. I've got to run those facts down. You're welcome, Tech. Sorry for the confusion. Again, that's that doesn't show up, but Gray Man does show up. All right, cool beans. I don't know what people's usernames or their pseudonyms are. I mean, I only know a few. It gets to be an awful lot. It's an awful lot to process and fix things. So I'm doing the work of dozens of people, one person. So thank you all. Just cool stuff. I watched your interview with Milan. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Everyone here should share that link with at least 3 people that you know that are interested in the program or in the program. Send it to 3 people. Get those 3 people to watch it to push those numbers up. I need you all to start helping me because YouTube is not. YouTube is blocking and not sharing updates from people. I need your help. There are 227 people here. If 227 people share it with 3 people, that means if even 1/3 of them go, that's another 110 people that go. Those 110 people will share it with other people. Okay? Matt, it's not run down yet, Karen. It's not run down. Probably 10:30 my time, which would be, 4:30 South African time. That's probably when it'll happen, but I have to make sure he's available then. All right? I've just been very busy. All right? So cool beans. You guys take care, and we'll catch you later on tonight. Cheers. Bye-bye.